Hey everyone, it is Monday, November 1st. The time right now is 1:21 p.m. and the temperature is around 9 degrees Celsius. And I'm here just north of Danforth Avenue. And there's a look at the Escooter. And this house has some pretty neat decorations up. It is the day after Halloween, of course. And for this one, I'll be hopping on the Escooter and going for a spin around East York. And we are off. And as you can tell, it's quite windy. So this will be a good challenge for the new microphone setup. And just on my left is Broadview Station. And I am just south of East York. And I'll turn right here onto Broadview. And in a few blocks, I'll be entering the former borough of East York. And that is one of 5 former boroughs that joined the old city of Toronto in forming the mega city in the late 90s. There were East York, York, Scarborough, Etobicoke, and North York, in addition to the old city. This area I'm in right now is known as the Plato Estates. And just over to the left is the Don Valley. So I'll be riding around the southern part of East York for the most part. To the north, East York is bordered by North York, and to the east by Scarborough, and to the west and I think the south by the old city of Toronto. This here is Chester Hill Road. You could turn left there and head over to the Chester Hill Lookout. And you'll find a rather spectacular view of the city. And this here is Fulton Avenue, so I think this is where East York begins. So I'll try to hit a number of major retail areas. Well, the term major is relative, but let's just call them retail areas in East York. This is Mortimer Avenue I just passed. There's a Dairy Queen. I've certainly seen better turns than that. And this is Hillside Drive. So of the former boroughs, East York is the smallest, at least population-wise. I think the population is around 118,000 or so. Originally, it was primarily a working class area. And here is Cosburn Avenue. There is a bike lane along Cosburn, so I'll turn right here and take this over to Pape, and we'll head through Pape Village. now it's east on Cosburn. And the Don Valley, which was to the left or west of where I started, bends north and to the east, and it kind of severs the south part of East York from the north part. To the north are the Thorncliffe Park and Least Side neighborhoods, which I won't be exploring via scooter today. And this should be Pape Avenue coming up. I'll hop into the left turning lane and we'll head north through Pape Village. And to the south of here, at Danforth, you'll find Pape Station. And you'll be in Greektown. And although Greektown is not part of East York, it did tremendously benefit from some East York policy. And I'll talk a bit about that in a moment. So this area is known as Pape Village. You know what? I think I wanted to turn right here. Yeah, let's go south through Pape Village. It's a bit more interesting that way. I wasn't really thinking that through, was it? I'll take this south to Mortimer, and then I'll continue heading east. So up until the 1970s, prohibition was in effect throughout much of East York. So that meant bars and restaurants were dry of serving alcohol. And Danforth Avenue, being just to the south of here and not part of East York, turned into sort of a thriving corridor of restaurants and bars. And to this day, it's still quite known for that. All right, here is Mortimer, so I'll turn left here. I'll just make a double turn. Hindsight, I should have stayed behind the traffic and just turn left through the intersection. Oh well. Not sure what the slowdown is with this tow truck here. Okay. That truck stunk. So I think heading east-west To the south part of East York, there's primarily Mortimer and Cosburn, and just to the north of there is O'Connor. So those would be your three main roads cutting through. Cosburn being the only one with a bike lane. And it's mostly older, small, single detached homes in this area. All right, so I'll head north here at Donlands Avenue, and we'll take this up to O'Connor. So I think there's another patch of retail activity just up ahead here towards O'Connor. There is Holy Cross Catholic School on the right. And it's back to Cosburn Avenue. There's a well-known restaurant on the left. It's the Ritz restaurant. At least well known to locals in this area. And this is the neighborhood where the late comedic actor John Candy grew up. Kind of interesting how the street parking is angled on the right here. That gives it sort of a small town feel. There's a beer store on the left. I think there's a new development going in that lot. And we're at O'Connor. And to the north of here is Todd Morden Village. Let's check out some residential streets. I'll take this back south down to Cosburn. And I think you'll still find the odd home around here for under $1 million. And this is Plains Road. Let's turn left here for a block or two. Cadorna Avenue. There's definitely an interesting mix of a lot of these older bungalow homes and much larger, more modern builds. I imagine the number of those will only increase as time goes by. And it's back to Cosburn. And it's Greenwood Avenue. I think there's another patch of retail coming up. I think I'll turn left and we'll head up Coxball. It's kind of a sleepy afternoon. That's the Dieppe Park Sports Complex. Sophie's Sports Bar and Grill, Cosburn Variety. Oh, there's more variety stores on the right here. This is an area where I can't honestly say I ever visit outside of recording videos for this channel. I'm often in Riverdale and Leslieville, which are to the south of here, and Greektown, of course. There's the Cosburn Park Lawn Bowling Club on the right, and Cosburn Middle School on the left. And this is Coxball. There's a left turn lane, but there's some cars fast approaching. Oh, the one behind me was turning right, so this works. And it's north on Coxball, and just on the right there is East York Collegiate. So East York was incorporated back in the 1920s. And they faced a decision at the time to venture out on their own or join the city of Toronto. And they chose to go it alone. Oh, there's a Mr. Sub on the left there. And once again, we're back to O'Connor. So I don't really like riding on O'Connor. So I'm going to turn right here on Treadway Boulevard. See if I'll spot any Halloween decorations that are worthy of taking a look. There's a pretty good one. I think that's part of East York Collegiate straight ahead. And it's back to Plains Road. I'll quickly check the time. All right, so coming up should be Woodbine in a few blocks. I think we'll find another bike lane there. And that's as far east as I'll head. Not sure if that car trusted that I would come to a stop or not. They took an extra long pause there. There's the Canadian Martyr School up on the left. I'm assuming that's a Catholic school with a name like that, especially with a church right next to it. And here we are at Woodbine. And now it's south on Woodbine. And I think it was around a year ago today that we had our first snowfall last year. I think we might be getting one later this week. As hard as that might be to believe. Here's Cosburn Avenue. Now, Woodbine here goes south all the way down to the beaches. That is Dunkirk Road. And we're at Mortimer Avenue once more. It's not quite cool enough that I'd need to wear some gloves doing this, but we're getting there. And this here is Salmon Avenue, spelled S-M-M-O-N Avenue, and this would be the southern boundary of East York. At least in this part. It might dip a bit more south of here in other parts. Look at these homes. This home here is just a cube, it looks like. Here's a corner store right in a residential intersection. I'll turn left here onto Glebe Mount. And I have left East York. So I think what I'll do is I'll just head down to Danforth and we'll go west on there through Greektown. The area that benefited so much from Prohibition, while we wait for the world's slowest moving vehicle to pull out of its spot here. What are they doing? They're just sitting there diagonally at the intersection. No lights. Put your four ways on at least. This is the intersection of Glebe Mountain, Glebe Home. All right. And we are at Danforth Avenue. So again, this is not East York. We have completed that part of the journey. But I'm always a fan of going for a ride through Greektown, which is coming up. What are you doing, Meals on Wheels? What are you doing? Meals on Wheels with a dummy behind the wheel. I shouldn't be so harsh. They're providing a very valuable service. Here's Coxball Avenue. So this bike lane, which was just installed last year, was rerouted just like this in a number of spots to make way for the outdoor patios. But I would imagine with winter coming, we're going to start to see these put away. There's a neat sign on that Starbucks. I'm not sure I've ever seen one like that before on the left there. Good job. Here's Linsmore Crescent. There's the old Allenby Theater. That was known at one point for its screenings of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And we're at Greenwood Avenue. I'm not sure if the mics are picking this up or not, but I am riding into a pretty good wind right now. And we're at Donlands Avenue. There's Square Boy on the left. It's a popular burger joint that has been around for a very long time. I think it was started by an immigrant who opened it up, and it became a family business. And I read a whole story about it, but the details aren't exactly coming into my mind right now. Oh well. It's a great story, great restaurant, and we're in Greektown. Greektown runs between Jones and Chester. There's definitely a lot more people out here than elsewhere I've been on this ride. And we're at Pape. So just to the north of here was Pape Village. I rode through there earlier. There's an old Nando's, now a Circle K. A rather oddly designed Circle K. With what else? A cannabis retailer next door. That one pedestrian there was waving that minivan through, so I decided to let them through as well. And there was a woman who wanted no part of it and just crossed anyways. And we're at Carlaw. So I'm just going to ride back up to pretty much where I started this, around Broadview Station. There are, of course, some heated patios set up. Although the effectiveness of the heaters, I have found, varies quite dramatically. And here is Chester, so this is the western boundary of Greektown. And Chester subway station is just off to the right. And those towers well off in the distance are all around Yonge and Bloor at the north end of downtown. Although, I think I'm just gonna take this thing onto the subway and go home that way. So let's turn right here at Ellerbeck Street, and hopefully it's a better journey going home on the subway than the one coming down here, as it took me an hour. The train stopped multiple times for 10 to 15 minutes at a time. There were various problems on the line. They blamed a track problem at Davisville. Then later they said there were problems with the onboard computer on the train and they kept having to reset it. I'll take my chances. Just taking the camera off the chest mount here. There we go. All right, there's the tech trendy ES commute scooter. And that is the intersection where I started this ride. So I hope you enjoyed this ride through the south part of the former borough of East York, as well as Danforth Avenue, passing through Greektown and finishing up right here where I started at Ellerbeck Street, and whatever street this is. Anywho, if you wish to support the channel, there are links to my Patreon and YouTube channel memberships in the description, and I also have an Instagram account. It's not wanting to flip the camera around here. There we go. All right, thank you for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.